S Word, featuring Will Gavin and Master Tess Fassian. And a squad of big-name contributors. The S Word from talkSPORT.
Well, a very good morning to our friends stateside and welcome to the S Word from talkSPORT. I'm Will Gavin, the brilliant Master Tess Fatsian, alongside me. Let's get it, brother.
What's happening? What's going on?
Well, we just had the little matter of the second leg of the second semi-final of the Champions League last night, and Paris Saint-Germain will be heading to balmy Puskás Arena to take on Arsenal on the 30th of May. Sorry, that's when I'm attending the parade with you.
The 31st is the parade. Don't worry. You're getting ahead of yourself. We got to see if you get invited to the parade first.
How you feeling, PSG?
I'm feeling great. This is exactly who we wanted. Get that revenge. Get it back in blood.
Exactly who we wanted. On today's show, we will break down the action from last night. We're going to look ahead to a huge night in the Europa League, that all-English clash, Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest. Darren Bent will join us in the studio, as will Max Scott, to represent both sides of that. Plus, we'll talk about Crystal Palace's hope of making the UEFA Conference League final. 3 English teams, 3 finals, absolutely banging. Plus, just a little matter of Bomani Jones joining the show.
Bomani, my boy. A huge personality in America. One of the most sophisticated, clever, witty personalities that you'll find in the world in sports media. Has truly changed the game. Excited to talk to him about some football.
I'd love to know what he says about me when I'm not here. You're watching the S Word from talkSPORT on YouTube, on the main YouTube channel, or via the S Word. Right, in the studio for the S Word. Don't forget, get in touch with the show. We are on all of your social media channels. Instagram at talkSPORT S Word, X at talkSPORT S Word, or get in the chat on YouTube. We'll make sure to respond to all the comments there. But we will kickstart the show by turning our attention to the Champions League final. We now know who is going to be facing Arsenal in Budapest on the 30th of May.
So after a 20-year wait, Arsenal have another crack at winning a Champions League final, but who will be standing in their way? Bayern and PSG. Kvaratskhelia, left-hand side of the penalty area, he's pulled back, and it's taken only 2.5 minutes. Musiala will take it on. It's Musiala, good save from Safanov, dive to his right, beat it away. Brilliant from Bayern Munich. Here's Kvaratskhelia coming inside the penalty area, can't wrap his foot around it to win it for PSG. What a chance. Now a little bit of space for Davis near the edge of the penalty area. Davis in towards Kane. Kane with a shot and scores. And they've got 1 minute and 15 seconds to get one more. And it's Paris Saint-Germain who are through. The first side in 8 years to make it through to the final as defending champions. And it is Arsenal who stand in their way. It's finished. Bayern Munich 1. Paris Saint-Germain 1. PSG win it 6-5 on aggregate.
So Paris Saint-Germain become the only team other than Real Madrid this century to go to back-to-back Champions League finals, to attempt to win back-to-back titles. As you heard Jim Proudfoot say there, Arsenal stand in their way. Okay, it wasn't the goal fest that we got a week ago.
Oh, suddenly you guys love low-scoring games? Is that what I'm hearing?
Hey,
is that
I love great football.
Is that fine?
That's all that matters. And last night I saw great football in action. It was just a different type of great football.
This is great football now.
Yeah, it was sensational.
It's great football now. But when Arsenal does it, you know, it's a side dish. This was supposed to be the main appetite, the main entree for the week. And was it a better game than what Arsenal Atletico was? I think it was comparable.
I do not think it was comparable.
I
think that last night Bayern Munich at least probed and prodded, and yes, they got the goal in the end, but PSG was sensationally defensively. I thought it was a much better spectacle as a neutral than the game the night before, which felt over the moment Bukayo Saka scored.
But it wasn't. This one more felt over as soon as PSG scored. Because
you're saying after 2.5 minutes, after we've watched a 9-goal thriller a week earlier, you were sat at home or in a bar, wherever you were last night for the game, and going, the game's done then.
Because
it's all over.
What people don't...
There's no idea that Bayern were going to score 2 goals at home. A team who haven't had a clean sheet conceded against the entire year. A team who have scored free-falling in all competitions. You were like, there's no way Bayern scored 2 with 87.5 minutes remaining.
You want to know why? Because I've seen this exact game play out last year. First leg. Arsenal, PSG. I was there. Atmosphere, energy, everyone was up for it. PSG gets an early goal. Kvaratskhelia, some brilliance on the left side, beating an injured Jurrien Timber, and they shut the front and the back door. They shut all the windows, and it was an incredible defensive performance, and they got the result they needed to go back to Paris for the second leg and ultimately get the job done. I saw a very similar PSG team here. Already up a goal, being catching them off guard. Upamecano being way too aggressive.
Like in a way that he did brilliantly in the latter stage of the game last week, coming out from the back and he just left a gaping hole. And
it's at that point, they're feasting. Kravitska, you give him that much space on the left side, he crosses it into Dembele and he fires it in. And at that point, with the 2-goal advantage, PSG can be much more tactical in their circumstances, knowing that they have a 2-goal gap. And plus, they're probably trying to prove themselves because they had a 3-goal lead in that first leg. And the last thing they wanted to do was squander that opportunity and ruin a chance at making it to back-to-back Champions League finals. So yes, when I saw that goal, I thought immediately it's PSG's to lose and this one's over. But there was some controversy, though, in this game.
No, well, let's talk. Should we hold the controversy? I just want to address something that was said yesterday on the show.
By who, me or you?
Yeah, by you.
Okay.
Where you refer to Arsenal as the most complete team in Europe. And your argument was that they can win in every different way. And I think what we saw from PSG last night is the actual most complete team in Europe. Because going forward, they are far more than Arsenal offer in the final third of the field. I think you would swap out anyone bar Bukayo Saka for anyone from their front line and from their midfield, arguably anyone but Declan Rice. I think they are the far more exciting attacking threat. And last night you saw it. I mean, you've said it already, Kvaratskhelia was absolutely sensational. Yeah, I did. I knew I was going to fall over it, and I've said it a million times on air before, and there was just something today where I knew I was going to do it. Look, Dembele says, Doué was just pulling guys apart the whole game. I thought João Neves was absolutely sensational. Luis Enrique had them drilled. He had them playing perfectly. And the biggest thing was, you said these teams can't defend. Pacho was sensational against Harry Kane last night. Marquinhos mixing up with Zaire Emery on that side, just completely shutting down Luis Diaz. Where was Michael Olise last night? We were talking about these two players being Ballon d'Or winners, and PSG shut them down. Luis Enrique, even if you've seen it since both talked about post-game and also from the cut-ups of it, Safanov was kicking every goal kick out of touch on the far left-hand side on purpose so that they could force overloads on that side so they could shut Michael Olise down. They just read that game perfectly. They figured it out. And look, Arsenal absolutely have a chance of winning the Champions League. They are in the fight. And this is not a, Greece once won the Euros thing. This is not like a absolute underdog story. Arsenal deserve to be there. They've been so brilliant defensively all year.
We're the underdogs. Say all that.
No. I'm on your side to this extent. But my point is that you're saying that PSG are the team you wanted to face.
Yes.
I think PSG, unlike Bayern Munich, can beat you in all ways. And I think that they are easily the favourites for that game in 2.5 weeks.
Whether the favourites, underdog, it does not matter to me. That was the team that knocked out Arsenal last year when they played well enough to go to the final. Whether you want to agree with that or not, by all means, you're the stat nerd, as you described yesterday. And if you love XG, which I'm sure you do because all stat nerds love XG, Arsenal clearly deserved more.
It's too imperfect a stat, to be clear.
Now the imperfections from stat nerds. When it benefits Arsenal, it's always imperfection. But Arsenal had so many chances, particularly in that second leg, that just did not fall their way. They created the shots, they created the opportunities, and ultimately came up short, as they did 2 years ago to Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals. I truly believe that this Arsenal team wanted to face PSG once again because that left a bitter taste in their mouth. Donnarumma had the night of his life twice in 1 week during those semifinals, squandering an opportunity for Arsenal to make it to the Champions League final. He's not there anymore. And there are questions about what they have at goalkeeper at this point.
It's an interesting one, that, right? Let's talk about Safanov because, as I said, distribution last night was really good. He is an unique goalkeeper, the way he chooses to clear, the way he chooses to punch out. But when we're talking about Arsenal being the ultimate set-piece team, who scored the most set pieces in the Champions League this season? Who's also defended best from set pieces in the Champions League this season?
Who has been the best defense in Europe? We cannot talk about defense and not acknowledge Arsenal.
Yeah, I just said that a moment ago.
Goals.
But my point is that you are coming up against another team who are an absolute force.
In the Premier League.
Everything is cancelling out here. They are brilliant at set pieces. They will be able to defend against what you have to offer, and they are better going forward than you are. This is a better football team than you are. If Arsenal are to win the Champions League, you're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to play the perfect game. You're going to have to be able to keep them at arm's length. You're going to have to not make a single mistake.
And I just believe
has
made mistakes time and time again
are the
all
ones
season
that
long.
will capitalise on what you do. Last week, 5 shots, 5 goals. This week, score after 2.5 minutes. And yes, they then changed their approach to an extent after that. But they are clinical. They are just able to pull you apart in different ways. And look, I'm going to do it again. Kvaratskhelia. There we go. Did it better this time. Look, Kvaratskhelia yesterday, the way on that goal that we're all talking about direct football, the way that players now are running at players, the way he held that ball up, slowed the whole play down, waited for the defence to get past him, and then make the perfect pass was just... Mwah. And I heard them say on the commentary, there's not like another winger built like him in the world. It's amazing that he's Georgian and he's basically a much, much higher level Georgian Kinkladze like 20 years later. It's like sensational how much he's just built like him and moves like him. And I think he's my favourite footballer to watch in the world right now.
I would not argue against that. You could put him up in the ranks of the Lamine Yamals, what Olise has been doing. There's still a lot of Vinny fans, obviously, that has that level of excitement. People that can literally force you to stop breathing because you're holding your breath, wondering what their next move is going to be because they're so direct. And Kavitska Kvaratskhelia, he did that in Napoli. He's been doing that at PSG. Came on as a January signing last year. He's only been there not even, 18 months yet. This is his first full season at PSG. And he has completely changed their entire attack and made them one of the most lethal attacks in Europe. I cannot argue with that.
And let's talk about the brilliance of Luis Enrique. What he's done with that team over the last 2-3 years, as he's been allowed to fully take over, as they cleared the decks, got rid of the Mbappes of the world. He brought in young players, he brought in young French players. He built the squad in the way he wanted to. And I mean, I already talked about tactically how spot on he got it last night, but arguably the best manager in the world right now.
He's been the best manager in the world even last year. As soon as Kylian Mbappe left, the runaway has been clear for him to truly take over this club and take over the project, and he's doing it in his likeness. He's getting everyone to buy in, and it is very well known amongst all the players at PSG. If you are not running, you will not play. And it has been hammered in their heads, and they know this team is so deep that you will get benched.
But there's that as
and you
well.
Will lose your spot.
They're also the most hard-working team. On top of being, like last night, excellent defensively, as well as being the best team going forward, we got to
get into
unreal last night.
We have to get into this controversy. I'm sorry. Defensively, yes, I told you, they closed the door, threw away the key. They know how to shut a game down. But they should have been a man down. It was very obvious in the 28th to 29th minute. Nuno Mendes stuck his hand out. It was first high up in the sky, then he pushed it back, and he deliberately trapped the ball with his arm. He was already on a yellow card. It was a dead foul spot, free kick for Bayern Munich. But the conversation has been whether that should have been a second yellow. He should have been sent off.
Well, no, the point is it wasn't a free kick for Bayern Munich. It would end up being a free kick for Paris Saint-Germain.
Which is ridiculous.
In the eyes of the referee,
that part was absolutely
in the build-up before.
And the conversation is, should that have been a second yellow? I think that should have been a straight red. Because if you look at that situation, that ball gets past Nuno Mendes. You have Olise running free on the right-hand side.
I don't think you can call that stopping a clear
in a 3v2 situation.
You cannot call that.
Bayern Munich has Luis Diaz in the middle of the box making a run. And if you want to talk about explosive attacks, Bayern Munich is up there with PSG in terms of the most explosive attack in Europe.
And
you give them that opportunity.
The 93rd minute.
That should have been a red card. And they should have been up a man.
Red card is.
All the Bayern Munich fans who are upset about that, you have every single right to be furious about that because you should have been up a man. And I agree with the part that they were not good enough 11v11, but they should have been up a man. And against Real Madrid, we saw how different they play, being able to take advantage of being up a man. They completely controlled that game right after.
It's worth mentioning.
The second yellow went to Camavinga. They should have been up a man, and that probably would have changed the situation. And maybe we're here sitting right now talking about
I think it definitely
Munich
changed the situation because you have to mention that already being on a yellow card, Nuno Mendes was sensational last night.
He was fantastic.
Other than that brief moment of madness, he just... In all of those one-on-one situations, he was physical, but always just to the right point. His movement was sensational. He just read the game perfectly. Like, I thought he was one of the best players on the field. If he shouldn't have been on the field, that is an argument.
And it didn't even go to VAR. That's the other part. It did not go to VAR. What is the point of VAR if you're not going to check that situation? That's why it's in the game.
Here's the problem, though. Yes, I agree with you. VAR should be able to rule on second yellow cards. And supposedly that's going to be coming in. Supposedly that's a change they want to make, that they will make it so that you can say someone's on a yellow card, they should get a second yellow and be sent off. I'm not having that's a straight red. Not in the position on the field.
It was a very deliberate
attempt.
It's
way too speculative to say that Elise 3-on-2, unless it's a one-on-one going through on goal and you've stopped it with your arm, or if it's in the 18-yard box or around the 18-yard box, that was way too far out and there's way too much else had to happen to call it stopping a clear goal-scoring opportunity. opportunity.
He is stopping the attack in a very deliberate manner. That should have been a red. Even if it is an orange, that should go to the monitor and let the referee and the VAR dispute whether that deserves a red or not.
Are we getting into penalty box conversations now? Are we?
I mean, the Joao Neves one as well. That was one that was in the penalty box, and that's another one that Bayern Munich fans are disputing as well, because that one...
It's amazing. Last night, let's just tell people, in our group chat last night, 3 or 4 of us all went, well, under European rules, which is basically the intent is not considered in any way, shape or form. You think about Sissoko in the Champions League final. That is very clearly a handball. And then everyone races to Dale Johnson's Twitter, because that's what everyone does every time. And the average football fan, including the ball knower opposite me and everyone else in there, didn't know that if it's your teammate who kicks it against you in that situation, that actually nullifies the other rules unless there is intent, unless you've done it on purpose. So if it's accidental and kicked against you by a teammate, but I totally understand why Harry Kane was absolutely livid and getting around the referee, and I get all of that. At the end of the day, you've got to play better than the ref's ref, and PSG controlled the game for huge swathes. They had chances. Michael Elise on another day finishes that chance.
Musiala at the start of the second half, he had a
Musiala
chance.
had 2 chances in the space of a minute. Tar's header when he was free in the middle of the box. There were chances and chances and chances, but PSG basically kept a clean sheet for all intents and purposes, held them till the 93rd minute. I thought was sensational, and I'm not
taking anything away.
I don't want to take anything away.
I'm not, but I want to make sure we acknowledge the frustration, the anger, the ire that Bayern Munich fans have right now from how that played out. And on the Nuno Mendes handball, I am right there with you. The Joao Neves one, I'm sorry, the officials got that one right. But if Nuno Mendes is not on the pitch there in the 28th to 29th minute, we maybe be looking at Bayern Munich. Actually, I genuinely believe we would be looking at Bayern Munich Arsenal, because that attack being up a man, it would have changed the outcome. They could score 2 goals very quickly, as we saw against Real Madrid.
I'm going live production meeting right here, right now. Can we get a poll up? Most complete team in Europe, Arsenal or PSG? Most complete team in Europe, Arsenal or PSG?
Arsenal's second in the Premier League in goals scored.
Much like the Champions League final, PSG will be winning this one in a landslide situation.
People just don't think Arsenal scores goals. They score goals. That's the thing. They just haven't been healthy. They're only 2 goals behind Manchester City, I believe.
I think this is a better PSG side than you faced 12 months ago. I think actually you match up. You might be a better Arsenal side as well, with how great you've been defensively this year. But I think it's a better PSG side. And you just went, he's going up against an injured Jurriën Timber. You had to throw out the injury out there.
It was a high.
He's probably going to be coming against Jurriën Timber again this time, coming back healthy.
If it's Ben White, it's going to be barbecue chicken.
if it's Ben White, this is not bother watching.
Thoughts and prayers for me.
Just hope the Premier League's already in the bag, so you can force me to still go to a parade on Sunday afternoon. Let's just very briefly look forward to the final, because let's hear from PSG manager Luis Enrique, who spoke after the game about facing Arsenal in the final.
I think I'm a very guy lucky, because I achieved a lot of things in football that I never thought in that. But we are one step away from the final, and when we play here, it's a good remember, because we won last year the Champions League final here, and I think tomorrow we need to show everybody that we are ready, to show everybody that we respect Bayern Munich, but we want to go to the next step, and that's our goal.
Well, talkSPORT is going to have wall-to-wall coverage ahead of that Champions League final. We're out in Budapest. There'll be live shows there from the Friday onwards, building up to that 5 p.m. UK time kickoff. So midday Eastern, 9 a.m. for you guys on the West Coast. It's some Champions League breakfast action going on for you for the Champions League final this year. And we will be out there. The S Word is going to have sensational coverage for you in the build-up and post. And, of course, across the talkSPORT YouTube channel, talkSPORT website as well. So check out all of the action there. I mean, we've got plenty more British sides to talk about in action in European football, because Crystal Palace are in a European semi-final tonight, and we've got an all-English European semi-final in the Europa League. Max Scott will join us a little bit later on. If you've not seen his Forest content, it's
fantastic.
So good.
Fantastic.
I know we're probably breaking late, but I'll just tell you a quick story from yesterday. Got back up into the office. It was about 3 p.m. and on the TV they were just starting to show footage from Nottingham Forest training. And as you walk through the office, so Max is at the far end of the office. He's walking down to the talkSPORT studio. The main TalkSport studio is on the right, and on the left is where TalkSport 2 are based. That's still got an old-fashioned big glass window, and the TVs you could see in there. And Max Scott saw that the Forest training footage was up, threw himself at the window like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, trying to
Is Morgan Gibbs White? Is he there?
He's honestly drooling is Gibbs White training? I can't see him. Does anyone know? Is Gibbs White training? Is Gibbs White training? Is he on the field? Is he on the field? And he was glued to that window for 3 solid minutes, just pacing back. And it was just, you saw some pure moment of fandom there. So he'll join us in the studio. Darren Bent will join us as well. Plus, we've got the brilliant Bomani Jones coming up on the S Word. But up next, Palace, Shakhtar Donetsk. Crystal Palace be reaching a European final, considering, even if it is only the third tier competition, pretty sensational considering everything they've gone through the last few years.
From kickoff to the full-time whistle, talkSPORT presents the S Word. Words here. Just 2 hours of full-on football dialogue. Every day, talkSPORT presents the S Word.
You're back on the S Word from talkSPORT. Will Gavin, Master Tesfatsian alongside me. How's the voice today? Feeling a little
voice
bit
is much better. I got more than 3 hours of sleep. I got a nice quality 6 hours. Falling asleep on the couch. Unintentionally, I was cooked. I was done.
We didn't really truly reflect on how you think Arsenal match up with PSG during that section, because we got so much into PSG and the game itself. So we do need to do that.
One game at a time. What did Bill Belichick say? We're on to West Ham.
Actually, tomorrow I do want to get into, because I've been listening to some Spurs fans getting in touch with talkSPORT and essentially rooting for an Arsenal win this weekend because they want West Ham to drop points.
Oh, now they want to root for Arsenal.
But then
Very
others,
convenient.
which I think is fine.
Very convenient.
I have no issue with that.
I do.
You should care entirely about your future.
Tottenham fans who could have helped Arsenal win the title last year at the final match of the season.
I think they're one and the same. Losing to City and wanting Arsenal to win.
They were celebrating
self-interest.
But they were celebrating the fact that they were losing.
Let's keep your powder dry, because we'll do this tomorrow. But I'm just saying, the other side of it is we're seeing some Tottenham fans who want West Ham to win because they're now so confident after their back-to-back wins that they're like, oh yeah, West Ham can pick up points. We'd rather they derailed Arsenal's title race than... I'm like, no. What absolutely ridiculous.
Confused side.
Just
people. They don't know
so
what
very
they
confused. But let's talk about a competition that's become quite a favourite for the English sides over the first few years of its existence, the UEFA Conference League, where Crystal Palace bring Shakhtar Donetsk back to South London for the second leg of their semi-final.
Strand Larsen into the penalty area, and Strand Larsen, cool as you like.
And Oliver Glasner, who's won the Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt, showing he can tiptoe his way through a two-legged tie.
Steve Parish held on to him for this reason, I think. And I think what we've seen about Palace is they've looked so much better in the knockout rounds.
We're on our way to Leipzig, seeing 6,000 delirious Crystal Palace supporters.
I think they're in to the final. I mean, there's no one game to play, but I think it's going to take a miracle for Shakhtar to really get the result.
Being close to play a European final, I think this has been a few years ago. This has been so far away from Crystal Palace, and now it's close to grab it.
Leanne Sanderson, I'm sure, will not be popular with Crystal Palace fans by bringing that to their door of, yeah, they're through to the final, don't worry, it's not like two legs ever changes in the second leg. But tonight, live on talkSPORT 2, Palace will take on Shakhtar Donetsk. 3-1 lead they bring to South London. Is this 1 foot? Is it 2 feet? Is it half the body? Are they all the way into the final? Or do you fancy potentially a Shakhtar comeback tonight?
They're it's over. It's Palace is getting through to the Conference League final. And Oliver Glasner's approach has been very obvious. He has deprioritized the Premier League. He's been heavily rotating his players as if he was PSG or Bayern Munich. And we're seeing his starting 11, which he's already lacked the depth that he's needed this season. He is clearly making sure once he leaves at the end of the season, as he stated, that he leaves them with an opportunity to win one more trophy and a chance to actually make it to the Europa League, which they should have been this season. Remember the clergy era, the admin era that happened and forced him to drop down to the Conference League. So I think this is a beautiful way for Oliver Glasner to end his tenure at Crystal Palace. Maybe does he deserve a statue if he's able to get 3 trophies for them, the FA Cup, the Community Shield, and then potentially a European trophy as well? I think this would be
2 trophies, that is.
Community Shield?
2 trophies in a pre-season friendly.
Sure.
Sorry, I forgot Arsenal fans really think the Community Shield should count as a trophy.
You saw the joy in Crystal Palace face. They were delighted at Wembley being able to be Manchester City.
In 50 years' time, those fans are going to be telling about the FA Cup final win, and then 3 months later,
they're going to went back to Wembley. They're going to look at that statue that they create for Oliver Glasner. He's like, he brought us 3 trophies.
Okay, it's the Arsenal approach. Shakhtar are a team who their only loss in their last 9 games was that game to Palace. They've moved 10 points clear at the top of the table. They've been able to rest players themselves in that 2-1 win over Dinamo Kiev over the weekend, but just 1 clean sheet in those 7. It does feel like, I'm not saying the tie is over, but it feels like if Palace score, then the tie is over.
The tie is over. They scored in the first minute of that game, 20 seconds, I think it was. Ismail Assar scoring in that contest away, unfortunately. And again, it's I guess it kind of is disrespectful to Shakhtar Donetsk, but an incredible story. The Ukrainian side that has been battling, fighting, has been able to play at home, playing in Poland these matches, and still finding ways to make it to semifinals of European competitions. Not taking anything away from their determination, their will, their ability to time and time again show the resiliency of this club that is a reflection of the resiliency that we see from Ukrainians. However, Crystal Palace just has way too much quality, particularly in the Premier League. And as we have seen, particularly in this competition, the amount of money that is spent in the Premier League, whichever side qualifies for the Conference League, you can go ahead and just put them in ink to make it to the final. It's an unfortunate reality, but they're coming up budget-wise, and the wages and salaries of the players that you see from the Premier League team that makes it to the Conference League compared to the other sides that make it, and a great opportunity for those clubs all across Europe making it to a European competition, It is an unfair fight.
Yeah, but you're saying that, but there are teams that finish 4th and 5th place in leagues. Like, well, Bundesliga at 6th and 5th place.
They're not spending the same amount of money.
They're not spending the same amount of money, but for years the Premier League spent more money than anyone else and didn't dominate in Europe.
Yeah,
this is a new trend, really. We've seen Champions League victories. Chelsea, let's not talk about there too, because I know there's at least 4 people out of the 6 of us working here who wish those never happened. My thing is that tonight we're going to see either Forest or Villa reach a European final, right? One hasn't been to a European final in 42 years. Both former Champions League winners or European Cup winners. Going back to former glories, wonderful thing for those clubs. Different ends of the Premier League table, but what an occasion for those fans. Crystal Palace, not a team who would ever expect necessarily to have some European success. You look at West Ham winning this competition a few years ago. This is what these European competitions to me should be at this point. I always hated the Champions League teams falling down into the Europa League and then it just being won by a second-tier Champions League.
Even though
team.
it has impacted the ratings, I think this format is much better. But
and so I think, I joke with you about the 3 trophies thing, and there'll be some people who'll turn around and say this is a Mickey Mouse Cup and you don't play good teams, like you're going out and playing, the second biggest team in Dublin during the group stages or whatever. But I really, truly believe that this is a, huge positive driving force for these teams. And it's a Crystal Palace side who, let's be honest, they're losing Oliver Glasner this summer. They've lost so many of their top tier talent, Michael Olise, Eberechi Eze, over the last few years. For them to go and still win another trophy.
Mark Gahey in January.
Mark Gahey is another great example. This is a Palace side who teams like that don't get to have these moments of joy. I think the FA Cup is much more of an outlier. Having this Europa League is like a thing that a team like Brighton, Brentford, those kind of teams who, well, this might be the best moment in the history of their club, and this gives them their opportunity.
But it takes away from the advantage that we just talked about Shakhtar Donetsk. Don't they deserve this opportunity in this platform? On the flip side of this bracket, you have Rayo Vallecano in La Liga. They don't even allow you to buy tickets online. That's how outdated their infrastructure is. You have to wait in line outside the stadium. Like it's a 1990s... I don't know, who's the Foo Fighters. I don't even think we're in the 90s or not. I don't know, who's a band.
Just about. Like Oasis, Radiohead, early Springsteen.
If you were waiting for a Beastie Boys concert in the 1990s.
That works.
And Rayo was operating in that same manner in 2026. It just shows you the imbalance financially. Strasbourg, yes, obviously they fall under Blue Co, but it's not like they're throwing around the same money as Chelsea is. In fact, anytime Strasbourg does anything good, it's going straight to Chelsea. They're just a feeder club into Chelsea. So for them to make it to the semifinal, it means something for them as well. On the flip side of Europa, I'm actually happy this time around that both Premier League sides are facing each other in the semifinal. Because when Manchester United and Tottenham were both in the Europa League final last year, I was very disappointed.
I obviously was on the right side of that because it's brilliant for us as a station for ratings and everything else, but also I always kind of knew that Tottenham could beat Man United. I didn't fancy them against almost anyone else.
You and probably every other Tottenham fan as well probably did not think that was going to happen. And then speaking of terrible games, God, that final was awful. But on the flip side of Forest Villa, which again, great story here in England, 2 clubs, one of them be well-deserving of making it to the Europa League final. On the other side, you've got Braga versus Freiburg.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a sliver of the budget that these clubs do. We talk about Aston Villa and the issues that they have financially speaking.
They're both miles off in their own domestic leagues, let alone competing with the top teams in Europe.
What would that mean for their fan base? For them just to make it to the semifinal, going to the final, and facing as mid-table as you may feel some of these clubs are, to everyone else in Europe, they're giants. And so that's the part about Europa and Conference League that I just hope doesn't get lost, because that was the whole purpose of creating a second tier and even a third tier European competition is to spread the wealth, provide these opportunities, provide these moments for other clubs, not just in England, but all throughout Europe, to have the opportunity to hoist European glory. And the financial budgets and the wages are just going to continue to make it harder and harder for these non-Premier League sides to lift the
I'll say I probably haven't been fair to think of it in that way, because I think probably more myopically about the fact that Palace will win a European trophy this year and then Adam Wharton will leave, and obviously Oliver Glasner's already leaving. Like, that's teams who win a European trophy and move up to the next tier of European competition should be losing players. They should be bringing bigger players in. They should be growing as a club, right? That's the theory behind it. And then you've got someone like Glasner, who very much could go and win this competition. If you look at the quality left in there, you'd have to argue Palace are the best team on paper at this point.
100%.
He's already won the Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt. Like, this is a guy who I think maybe not to the level of hype that Andoni Iraola's going through right now. But if you want to talk about second-tier Premier League managers, I think has a real chance of going and taking a big job somewhere. Where does he land at this point?
I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Chelsea. And it seems like Character United...
Is that not just a poison chalice at this point? Like,
I mean, you still take the chance. As much as I love to make fun of Chelsea on these airwaves, if you're a manager, knowing that you have that budget to work with and you have all of that talent that they've accumulated, yeah, take that shot. I take that chance. Even though you're going to be managing up as much as you're going to be managing your players, it is a risk worth taking.
To me, this isn't like the NFL when we talk about that. When you talk about there are only 32 jobs. It doesn't matter if it's the Las Vegas Raiders or Tennessee Titans who have consistently picked in the top 3 who come knocking. You take that job because it's the opportunity to go and prove yourself. A situation like Chelsea where the expectations are so high, but what you can actually achieve is got now such a low floor at this point. And you have seen manager after manager go in there and essentially ruin their reputation. You know, all right, Mauricio Pochettino has now got the USMNT job and might get into a half-decent job after the summer. Like, maybe he was hoping that De Zerbi wasn't going to take that job and could have walked back to Spurs, but if I'm Andoni Iraola, I am sitting on my hands if Chelsea come knocking. I'm saying I think at this point I have earned an opportunity at a team that are actually competing in the Champions League and around it. And when I watch the way your clubs run, the sporting directors, the way you've spent money, the way that you've auctioned off our future, everything else, I would not touch Chelsea with a 10-foot barge pole if I'm Glasner or Iraola.
But what other clubs are you going to find that spend that much money? You talk about Oliver Glasner. One of the biggest issues he's had all year long is depth. The squad is just not deep enough to compete in the Premier League.
Yeah, but there's depth and there's signing 48 players in the same window and having them to sit in the biggest reserve squad ever and then get in trouble for the way you manage them.
If that has been your biggest issue and concern that you've had for the club that you've been going to, wouldn't you want to make sure that is resolved at the next spot that you go to, that would not be an issue? And I promise you, that will not be an issue at Chelsea.
Don't get me wrong. If you can be Luis Enrique at PSG and you can go in and go, right, my terms, I'm dictating this, we're changing the way you run things, fine. But I just don't see that happening with the current situation with Beluco because, I mean, right now they're servicing debt. That's about all they're doing. I don't see them spending that big money again. And
they have no choice.
I mean, to borrow from Alex Goldberg the other day, there are so many cooks spoiling that broth at any one moment. Like, you're not going to have control. You're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to go in and say, I want to rebuild this team in my image.
They just might be desperate enough to do it because the way that they're operating right now is just not good enough. But the other thing Glasner has done that we've seen is he has fully maximized what he's been able to work with. And so if Chelsea, for whatever reason, is in a situation because they won't make Champions League and there's a good chance that they don't make European competitions at all.
I mean, I think they might finish bottom half of the table at this point.
That revenue Europe. That they could get from Europe, you're going to probably have to work with what you got. And who better to do that than Oliver Glasner? Because he has made it work without Eze, without Marc Guéhi, without Olise. And we see how talented and quality these players have been over the last 18 months, 2 years. They're bringing in some good quality players. Strand Larson, they brought in from Wolves. I like him. He's been dealing with some injuries. Brennan Johnson, you were just raving about him. I feel like on the first episode, how much you love Brennan Johnson.
I don't think I've ever mentioned how much I love Brennan Johnson. I find him one of the most frustrating footballers in moments of brilliance, don't get me wrong. But he is the picture of a Spurs front four player since Son and Harry Kane left, which is like they can go on a 3-game stretch where they are a world-class player, and then for 10 games you cannot find them. They have disappeared off the face of the planet. That is Brennan Johnson.
We agree him on that. Yermi Pino from Villarreal, they got. I liked what I've seen from him. JD Cavanagh that they got from Toulouse. These are great additions. You have another summer, you get a great window, Glasner gets him a Conference League title, put him in Europa League. There's a chance here for Palace to spin big and make that leap that you're talking about to be a consistent player in the Premier League table. But right now, in this certain situation that they find themselves in, it's just not enough for a quality manager like Oliver Glasner.
Well, where do you think Glasgow goes next? You can let us know on social media at talkSPORT S Word on Instagram, on Twitter. You can DM us on those places. And the poll is up on Twitter. who are the most complete team in Europe? Because my man master over here says it's Arsenal. I will, Gavin, say that it's PSG. I mean, we're being really bold at picking the two teams in the Champions League final. Like, wild from us. But it was a statement you made yesterday, and I thought I watched the most complete team last night, not on Tuesday night. Coming up, Max Scott joins us in the studio as we look forward to that all-English Europa League semi-final. This is the S Word from talkSPORT.
Big name reaction from both sides of the pond. The S Word from talkSPORT. People who love football in North America. And I mean the proper kind, where you only use your feet. The S Word from talkSPORT. There's going to be a certain sect of this country, West and East Midlands, where we're based here on the S Word, who are going to be livid that we have got, a whole 40 minutes into this show and only talked about European football and haven't addressed that there is an all-English semi-final coming up tonight. You are watching the S Word from talkSPORT on the S Word YouTube channel or via the talkSPORT YouTube channel. You can get in touch with us on YouTube via the messages, and don't forget there is the poll up right now asking who the most complete team in Europe are. Yesterday, Master Tesfazian alongside me,
he's already
Gavin,
put like 5 votes in.
Claimed it was Arsenal. I've got on all my different Twitter accounts, all my burner accounts.
Stop the count.
And put in tweets for, yeah, exactly. PSG, Arsenal, who is the most complete team in Europe? We're asking that on the social accounts at talkSPORT S Word. But let's turn our attention to the action at Villa Park tonight.
Referee looking at his watch, and Nottingham Forest are in the European Cup final.
And it'd be lovely for the new generation to experience those European nights.
You know, after a miraculous season last season, it's been so terrible up until Vitor Pereira came in.
Can you think of something, a worse call in recent history? How do you sack Nuno?
Change happens in football. Yeah, I don't think there's rhyme or reason to many changes in football now. Some are obvious and some are not.
Forest are still on the European trophy trail.
I just want to be proud of my players, to be proud of my supporters, to be proud of myself and my staff.
And is tonight the night
where Forest create more magic in Europe.
The last voice you hear there as we head to Villa Park tonight, live on talkSPORT. Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, 1-0 from the first leg. The scenes outside the Forest ground, you thought they'd already won. I'm not going to be the fun police again today, I promise.
Oh, please. I hear the sirens.
So I've had enough of my mentions over the last 24 hours. I think I need some kind of detox. I'm going to the sauna after this and just sweat all that hate out. But tonight, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, live on talkSPORT. And the last voice you heard there in that package was the man now sitting alongside me, Max Scott. I mean, I'd say the most famous Forest fan, certainly at talkSPORT. How are you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling really nervous, but there's a sense of anticipation because this Forest side have got momentum. This Forest side have got, and I said this after the first leg, or after the Chelsea game. You can't quantify it. We can't put it on a graph. We can't compare it. But they've got spirit, togetherness, fight, and that's the way I see football. I don't really see football through the prism of numbers, although it can be enlightening and it can be interesting. I see, for me, it's about the feeling that it elicits. And Nottingham Forest, for me, and for all of the Forest fans I know, it's about their connection with their parents, their connection with their grandparents, with their own friends. And so, for me, tonight is like a culmination of a Forest support in life that has always been about the has-beens, about what the club once was. And despite the chaos, despite having 4 managers, despite sort of being in a relegation dogfight, we're on the precipice of a European final for the first time in over a generation.
2 generations, yeah.
So that's how I'm feeling. The juices are flowing and I cannot wait for kickoff.
I'm not going to lie, I'm concerned that you're going to peak at 3 in the afternoon because I'm feeling it. That pumped me up. And look, this is what we were talking about on the show earlier this week when we were comparing the Aston Villa performance on Sunday with the Nottingham Forest performance on Monday. 7 changes, 8 changes, and yet Villa looked like a team who were focusing on Thursday. I know Forest had something to fight for. I know arguably Chelsea didn't and Spurs did and all of that side stuff. But for me, it's the fact that Vitor Pereira had them so up for the fight that the players on the outside sides of the squad cared just as much as those who were starting in the Europa League. And that is why I kind of feel like there is so much momentum going into this.
But now he's worried about Morgan Gibbs-White and if he's going to play or not. Like that's the end result of this, is that you get up for it, but he's got a big scar on his face now.
Yeah, I mean, that was horrific, wasn't it, right? And the fact that he's not got a concussion from that is a minor miracle in and of itself. I don't think he's going to play. If he wants to channel his inner Terry Butcher and do that, then fine. But despite the fact that our captain that is carrying the city on his shoulders in this Premier League and European campaign, despite the fact he's going to be absent, despite the fact we might be without Murillo, Ola Aina, Ibrahim Sangare, I think what Chelsea showed and what Vitor Pereira has done is he's created an environment where players who under Ange Postecoglou, Sean Dyche weren't given an inch, those players that were bereft of confidence, he's created an environment where they can succeed and where they feel that they're standing on the shoulders of giants, because that's what Nottingham Forest is, right? The Miracle Men under Brian Clough, a provincial football team in the 2nd Division going absolutely nowhere, get promoted to the 1st Division, what would now be the Premier League, win it first time of asking, season after, Champions League or European Cup, season after, Champions League. And so I think you've got in a matter of weeks under Vitor Pereira, you've got these players that are probably hoping to leave the club, that are probably looking to wipe their hands of what looks like a championship elect team, as in being relegated, and they're now thinking we can be part of a long line of history in this sort of Midlands club that is full of life and full of sort of joy. And that's what we've got now. And it's incredible how it's turned around. And that's why I'm going into it confident. Having said that, Unai Emery is a master in the Europa League, and you cannot get cocky about it, right?
No, you can't. And that's the reason why I thought his approach was better than Victor Pereira's in terms of resting his players and rotating, because going into this match without Morgan Gibbs-White, as you expect, that is a huge blow going into Villa Park, trying to hold on to, at least you have a 1-0 lead, but that's going to be a tough task.
Look, Max isn't going to say it, but I will pound the table for this time and time again. Losing 3 on the bounce, not scoring a single goal in any of those games. Yeah. I know it's going to be a phenomenal atmosphere there tonight, but it was so toxic on Sunday. The fans all leaving early, absolutely hating it, practically booing their own team off the field. I still think that mentally has an effect, even if 7 of the players are going to be back into the side. And listen, I actually don't think they match up particularly nicely with Nottingham Forest either. Like, yes, Morgan Gibbs-White is a big loss, but I really think, based on what I've seen the last few weeks, that I like Forest going there and getting actually just a win, not holding off, not getting a draw, not getting through to the final, but going and winning at Villa Park.
Can I just remind ourselves, I don't want this to be a disrespect on other players. We've got Elliot Anderson, who for me is one of the top 5 midfielders in Europe, and I know I say it's not about stats, but the stats don't lie. Right, no other midfielder in Europe has won the ball back more than him. That in and of itself, when Villa are going to have to come on to Forest, the longer the game goes on, the longer the scoreline remains 1-0, he is an unbelievable asset. But not just Elliot Anderson, who I think is destined to be a great midfielder, like a world-class midfielder. Nico Dominguez, the Argentinian, he is everywhere. He's a nuisance, and he's technically fabulous. And given the opportunity, like at Chelsea, like in the first leg against Aston Villa, he will thrive. And so we've got to remember, this isn't just a Morgan Gibbs-White, Elliot Anderson football team. This is Ryan Yates, from the academy, one club man, been out on loan and played and scored in every league of the football pyramid, and he's the club captain. He, against Chelsea, was the best player on the pitch, right? He's trench warfare, dogged, determined, plays like a fan with the shirt on which he is. We've got him, we've got Nico Dominguez. You know, Mari Hutchinson was absolutely wonderful against Aston Villa in the first leg. We've got talented players, because Mr. Marinakis, love him or hate him, and I love him for what he's done for the city and for the club, has invested in players with potential. We've got that, and it just so happens it's taken about 7 bloody months, to actually get ourselves back on the map, and we're here, and I'm feeling it.
I had very high expectations for Forest going into the season.
Yeah.
I really, like you talked about, the quality of the players, being able to bring back Morgan Gibbs-White and him not going to Tottenham, I thought was huge.
Stroke of genius.
It was, Chris Wood somehow finding the back of the net. I really enjoyed this roster. Then it just felt like a ridiculous roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
With all the managers being sacked, unfortunate injuries, just challenge after challenge. That start was just so awful. What was it like for you following that journey this entire way and finding yourself on the precipice of a Europa League final?
It's a great question, mate. Having supported, I turned 33 this week, so happy birthday. Yeah, thanks, boys.
We're just giving you room to cook. I mean, we get in trouble for interrupting people all the time, and then the one time we let someone speak, he shoot us down.
I'm going to say something sentimental.
So do you want us to sing Happy Birthday to you?
Look, having supported Forest the vast majority of my life, until I was 29, we were never in the Premier League, right? I couldn't remember. We'd been out for 23 years. I didn't have a memory of us being in the Premier League. I'd followed Forest in League One, in the Championship, playoff heartache in both leagues. We could never get it done. And so with that comes an amount of baggage, or almost sort of PTSD, football PTSD, because you know how bad it can get. And then when you work with Chelsea fans, United fans, Liverpool fans, we don't work with any City fans because there aren't any, but when you work with people like that are almost born with a silver spoon in their mouth as football fans, you know how bad it can get. And so to answer your question, at the start of the season, I was just thinking, here we go. We've had a historic season. We've qualified for Europe. We can't enjoy it because we're going to get relegated. And this is just part of what it means to follow Forest. That's what I was feeling.
And we've talked a lot about this with Palace in the last section, right? There is that poison chalice element of Europe, right? If you've not got a deep squad, if you've not got that to it.
The Thursday to Sunday turnaround is just brutal. It's rough.
I thank you for giving Chris Wood a shout out, by the way, because I love that football is essentially around Chris Wood come full circle. Yeah. He was, 5 years ago, we'd be going, that's a great championship striker, but he'd never make it in the Premier League. Now we're more direct again. Now we're balls in the box. Now we're over the top, and Chris Wood can hold it up. He can get in there. I've always loved Chris Wood, and I love to see him in there again. The reason I feel like Forest tonight is because the lack of pace at Villa. Like, if they play John McGinn out wide again, Emi Buendia is a great footballer, but he's not going to run at guys. He's not going to cause you issues in that facet. And I feel like Forest are just, like you said it far better than I could, are ready to outwork and outmatch and just, I don't know, Villa have knocked my confidence in them massively the last few weeks.
They have. And that gives me confidence, but you cannot deny Morgan Rogers is one of the top number 10s on his day.
But again, I know he's not in form. 6 months again, you would have said he might start for England. Now,
when Diaz has been hurt, Tielemans has been hurt. That midfield is not like the same when they're not healthy.
No,
respectfully.
But going back to my last point, because I know how it can go for Forest, because I know how unpredictable they can be from the top of the club, whether right down to the bottom. I don't want to write Villa off here. Unai Emery has won this competition 4 times. That doesn't mean he's got a divine right to win it for a 5th time. And I do think that the pressure's on Unai Emery and the players, because whilst it's been a stellar tenure for Emery at Villa Park, he's not won anything. And he's watched Crystal Palace win stuff. He's watched Newcastle win stuff. He's watched clubs like Forest get European qualification totally when nobody expected it. So I think the pressure's on him. And I think you could see that pre-match. And you mentioned this. I've been speaking to Gabby Bonlahor, to Dan Bardell, friends of talkSPORT, all saying if Villa get off to a poor start, or if Forest score, it's going to get toxic, and it's going to get toxic quick. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm hoping for.
So, look here.
The other day, this man went to a European semi-final, and on that day, we let him go down it's a European semi-final. Let's not be disrespectful.
I'm just saying.
He went down the barrel, and he delivered a message to the Arsenal fans and to the Arsenal players. Would you do the same for us for Forest?
Okay.
Look at that camera, baby. Let them know. These boys are listening.
Boys, the thing about dreams, I guess I would say, is that sometimes they do come true. And what you've done for us this season or in this last couple of weeks is you've epitomised what it is to be Nottingham Forest, rebel city, against the odds, provincial club that turn up when nobody else expects it. And in the words of the great man himself, Brian Clough, I hope anybody's not stupid enough to write you off, because we believe in you. You've given us reasons to believe in you, and we believe in this man Vitor Pereira, the absolute vibesman, the pintsman, the chieftain.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter about Villa Park. It doesn't matter about Unai Emery. All that matters is those 2 stars on your badge compared to their 1.
Yeah.
And know that you can take us 90 minutes away from a Champions League final. This is a sliding doors moment for the football club.
Come on!
Just think, a few weeks ago, we were championship bound. And because of you and your attitude and your love for the badge and your love for the fans and Vitor Pereira, we could be in a Champions League next season, and imagine what that could do for this club for the next 5-10 years. We're behind you, boys. Go get them.
Go get them, baby. Go get them. Look at that.
I've always hated Mull of Kintyre, but there's something about it in that moment that's so stirring. Brilliant stuff. Max Scott, enjoy tonight. You'll be able to see Max Scott actually on the talkSPORT YouTube channel, because he'll be doing a watch along with Gabby Bonlahor alongside him, who has said he will not turn up for work tomorrow if Aston Villa are not in the Europa League final.
Even more motivation for Forest to go.
Keep it locked in. We've got Bomani Jones coming up next, and Darren Bent joining us in the studio for the next hour. Can he deliver Villa anything like a rousing speech like Max has? Who knows? All coming up on the S Word from talkSPORT.
From the touchline to the terraces, talkSPORT presents the S Word. Gavin and Master Tess Fassian. And a squad of big-name contributors. The S Word from talkSPORT.
You're back with the S Word from talkSPORT. Will Gavin, the great Master Tess Fatsian alongside me. Don't forget you can get in touch with the show on all of those social media channels you're seeing beautifully displayed on this side of the screen right now. At talkSPORT S Word, on X at talkSPORT S Word, and also on the YouTube channel you can get involved and get into the chat as well. We'd love to hear from you. We have got a poll up on X right now, which is very old school of us, I have to say. After this man to my left claimed that Arsenal are the most complete team in Europe. After watching what PSG did last night, I think it's pretty hard to claim that. But right now, delighted to say that joining the show for the first time, and I mean, a legend in sports writing, in sports broadcasting in North America, the host of The Right Time, the man, the myth, the legend that is Bomani Jones, joins us on the show. Bo, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not complaining. Master's your boy, though. I'll let you get involved.
Bo, we're here. A soccer show. Done at
worldwide, baby, worldwide.
He's been on this journey with me for a couple years now as I've been working on this. And also it's opened up a couple times in which you've gone to some soccer matches. So I'm curious your vantage point of what you've seen from some of the matches that you've gone in Europe.
Yeah, so it's interesting going to soccer matches when you're only accustomed to watching in like the biggest events. You know what I mean? So I went a couple of years ago, I think it was 2022. I went to see Real Madrid play. I saw Vinny and that whole squad of dudes playing. And I actually had to dial down my expectations a bit because I realized if what you've been watching is like the World Cup and the Champions League, these are like regular season games. Like they have these in all the other sports. So it was a great experience, though, just kind of being there. I went to Stamford Bridge last summer to check out Chelsea. That was a good one. I was disappointed. I went to Rio a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't have time to go check them out. But I went past, I think it's Maracanã. I don't know exactly how you say that, but they got the statue of Pele in front.
Yeah. The Maracanã, where they are bringing the NFL for the first time
they are.
this year, of course. Cowboys, Ravens, unbelievable game. Brazil has had some sensational games over the last few years.
Great NFL fans.
Yeah, exactly. As passionate as they are about soccer, about football, I'm hoping that they are that passionate about the NFL because it's incredible watching sport in those countries.
Yeah, no, what I saw... North Carolina State and Virginia are going to play a college football game in Brazil. And I don't know if there's any way for me to explain to my British friends how ridiculous a notion and idea that is. But I would just love to see, I wish I spoke Portuguese so I could see how those people are going to receive their unexpected visitors when that game comes around.
What took you in about the fandom, about the environment, about what it's like to go and watch football versus an NBA game, an NFL game, even a baseball game?
So what I noticed, especially at Stamford Bridge, was, and I think it was the first match of the season. So, of course, there's kind of those vibes, that come with the fact that it's brand new. But it also felt like a class reunion almost, that everybody was there, was so excited to see each other. And I didn't pay close attention when I bought the seats, but like I said, master the picture. I was there, I don't know what the word is, in the fan club, basically, right? Then I got lucky because some guys were in a group and they got split up. So somebody needed to switch seats with me. So then I got down a little bit closer. And it was two things. One, just the outright investment that people had in the team. And the attachments I think that people have to soccer teams are typically based on more socioeconomic factors than we have in the U.S., where it's really much more just based on geography. There are how many teams in London? So how do you pick which one that you decide to go with? There's a whole different set of reasons or rationale. The other thing that was so striking to me was how the stadium is just in the neighborhood. There's no way in the world that I would have known 2 blocks away that there's a stadium over there. Part of that is the walkability of European cities, which is a fun factor when we talk about what this World Cup is going to be, the opposite of that. But that was the part that got me, was just how everything was just kind of seamless in its way.
He was sitting behind the goal. So he was at Stamford Bridge sitting behind the goal. He was not sitting down.
No, that wasn't on the board.
There was no sitting down that one. But you talk about this World Cup, and let's just go ahead and straight get into it, because there's a lot to be said about this World Cup. But what are you keeping an eye on as we're, 35 days away from this World Cup? What are you keeping an eye on, and what happens this summer in the United States?
Well, I'm just generally speaking hoping that our nation doesn't embarrass itself in front of the world. That's number one, where I think that we all are with the particular situation of the world and everything that's going on. The second thing that I think is interesting, and we've seen a lot of reports about this, it's not just ticket pricing, but it's the pricing of everything that is surrounding it. So like New Jersey Transit charges something like $150 for people to ride the train on game days, which is a crazy thing. The ticket prices that people have talked about, also crazy. But I saw the head of FIFA make a point, and it was real. It was that this is how tickets work in America. Everything costs too much money when it comes to buying tickets. And now you put the biggest event in the world there, and you take a country that is built for cars and then add an event that does not really want cars. They don't want people pulling up there. Like all the changes they've had to make to these stadiums to get the advertising out of there, to not have the names of the stadiums attached to them and everything else. Like FIFA operates this event almost antithetically to the way that everything is run in American sports. I think that part is going to be interesting, but I also just, again, hoping we don't embarrass ourselves and lock up a lot of the wrong people when they just want to come and watch a soccer match. I am very interested to see, as this event goes, how the world responds to being between three really big countries, right? Like, this is not like splitting the World Cup between Japan and South Korea. Like, this is three of the, what I guess, at the very least, 10 or 15 largest countries in the world. I know Canada and the U.S. are way up at the top. I'm not exactly sure where Mexico falls in that in terms of geography. Like, there's a lot going on with this World Cup, and it's a lot for the people who are coming in to visit if you're really going to try to make it to see your team play all the games.
It's interesting to me because, I love when these tournaments take on the culture of the country, right? When you have a tournament in Spain or somewhere in South America, like the Brazil World Cup was sensational because everything was samba, everything was cocktails on the beach. Everything felt Brazilian to its soul. And yet, I don't know what that's going to look like for this. I don't know if your team are playing between Boston, Dallas, and Miami. I mean, you could not get three more different cities potentially. So I'm really excited to see what the face of this World Cup looks like, what the tone of this World Cup looks like. And like you say, I'm sure it'll be fun, but it's like how the world are going to react to America's place in the world right now. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I will say this about Brazil in particular. I'm very curious to see how it goes when Brazil goes to Toronto, because my friends in Toronto always talk about how amazingly the city turns Brazilian every 4 years. That when the World Cup comes around, you just be amazed at how many people suddenly just turned up and became Brazilians. The U.S. part of it, I think, will also be interesting because something I don't think that a lot of people realize is the most popular soccer side in the United States is El Tri. It is not the U.S. side. It is the Mexicans. And the Mexicans are rolling deep. Like the idea of the Mexican national team playing games, whether it be in Los Angeles or it be in Houston, or Dallas. Hey, there's going to be some very interesting socioeconomic people watching to be done. I know a few years ago, there was a friendly between Mexico and Nigeria and Houston. And I'm from Houston. If you're not from Houston, you don't understand. That's the home team against the home team in a city of pilgrimage for those particular groups of people. Right? So when we get things like that, it's going to be fun to watch.
You're a big music fan. So I want to put this into perspective from an artist, okay? Say 94 was the debut album of the United States in the World Cup and what that presented. 2026 is the sophomore album.
Yes.
What is the comparable sophomore album that you think could potentially relate to this experience that we could have this summer?
So it's interesting to use that analogy because I do think 94 truly fit as a debut album in the sense that this country's relationship with soccer changed completely after 1994, right? Like there was the boost that every home team seems to get when they play in the World Cup, which then, leads to kind of the jingoism or patriotism, depending upon what your perspective is on it. But it led to a whole new generation of not simply kids playing soccer, because that had already begun, but with people believing that the United States should be good at soccer. I think we still have a fairly realistic set of expectations about how good we actually are, though I think we struggle to understand why it is that we are not better, and the explanation is not really that complex, but we're not that great with that. This, as a second album, is like you need to find something that happened in between that made the fame peak without an album necessarily. Like now we're at the point where people get a little bit crotchety about the fact that these guys aren't good enough. And they got their songs, and I believe that we're going to win and everything else, and all the times they play the games in Columbus and everything else. But Americans are not good at settling for, well, honestly, what most of the world has in the World Cup, which is not everybody's playing for the championship, right? Like you'd say probably 7 or 8 countries in the world that every year go into it being like, hey, I think we should win this, right? France, Spain, the UK, bless your hearts. You probably shouldn't think that based on fact, but you do, right? Brazil,
Hey, I mean, we're at a world now where Italy
don't even make it to the damn World Cup anymore, right? The United States, like, I look at MLS soccer the way that we look at European basketball leagues. Like, oh, it's a cool league that people can come play in, but certainly not at the top. And our national team is an MLS level of a soccer national team.
And let me ask you on that front then, and I'm going to go full, because I don't know if the guys have told you, do you have an English team at the moment?
You know, I got my Chelsea gear here. You know, I bought my hat when I was there. So I have merchandise. I would not say that I have a team. I simply have merchandise.
We're going to be speaking to a lot of casual fans over the course of the World Cup. People who are like getting excited, getting hyped as we get there. Maybe you don't have a team yet. We do have a giant wheel that we can spin and
let's do
a team.
2 wheels.
So actually, there are 2 wheels. You can pick from. What did we decide they were called at the end?
The wheel of casuals, which is going to be all the teams in the Premier League. If you want to feel something comfortable, something that you can relate to,
something you can follow easily.
You can find a community in the United States, and it would not be hard, regardless of whatever city you're in. Or you could take a spin from the wheel of sickos, and that is the entirety of the English tier
all
pyramid.
92. It's like picking a triple or even double A baseball team. Like, you could fall right down the leagues.
I'm not Wayne Brady, but I'm giving you an offer. Do you want door number 1 or door number 2?
Okay. I am going to start by saying 92. I did not realize the number was that large, which made it very simple for me to say, take me to the casual.
All right. If we got the wheel ready to spin.
The wheel is ready.
All right. I mean, we haven't done this before. We're going to hit it. Spin that wheel.
Where we at? All right. All the Premier League sides. We got a couple other sides here as well.
I feel like we need to put the click. Oh, Forest, that would be sensational.
Sunderland.
Okay.
Oh,
okay. Interesting city, Sunderland, right up in the northeast of the country. Very working class, very strong roots to their team. They only just got back into the Premier League last year after a few years away. They'd actually fallen down 2 tiers.
Still a good
at
season.
One point.
They spent a lot of money this summer, 250 million quid, and they've had over-exceeded expectations big time.
They have one of the best rivalries in the Premier League as well against Newcastle United. The Tyne-Wear derby is absolutely top tier and sensational. I think you're going to enjoy being a Mackham.
Great
Sunderland
documentary,
are a great
Sunderland
shout.
Till I Die, if you want to check it out. Nicknamed the Black Cats.
Yeah, no, let me tell you, once you started with the words working class, I still like to think of myself as such. You know what I mean? Like that's how I'd prefer to look at myself in solidaridad. Let's do that. That's where we go. Sunderland, I can do this.
So now Bomani Jones is a good friend of the show and Sunderland fan.
That's right.
Absolutely love it. I love the weird ways that people find ties with things. Ariel Hawani's going to be joining us next week, hopefully, and he's randomly a Nottingham Forest fan because his boys both love soccer and they were following it, and one of them was a fan of one of the top teams, like a bit of a kind of ring chaser, as it would be called, I guess, in America. And his son was just his other son was I'm going to be a Forest fan. So he went down that route, and they could be in a European final. So Sunderland, I think, is a great one. If I'm allowed, could I ask you a basketball question, even though we're here on a soccer show?
Sure.
Because we've got definitely big basketball fans both sides of the glass here.
We did over here on the Mavs. Who's your basketball team?
Warriors. Just Bay Area through and through. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I was a Warriors fan when I was paying $20 to basically get a courtside seat because nobody was going to see the Warriors in the 90s and noughties. So
fair enough.
I did my time, even if it got pretty good in the last decade or so. We got the Luka news today that maybe finally there is a bit of a timeline on that injury. It sounds like it might be all the way until June till he actually comes back. Do you give the Lakers any shot of getting past OKC if he can't get back?
Oh, no, this is a best of 7 series, and I think it'll be over in 3. It's just not. And that's in fairness to the Lakers, I don't know how much it would matter if Luka was there. The Thunder are just on a different. The Thunder and the Spurs, I feel like in their conference, are just simply on a different tier than everybody else is. And that is the series that I cannot wait to see. I think that's the real NBA Finals is going to be when the Thunder and the Spurs play against each other.
I know you saw that Ric Flair tweet. He already complained about Luka Doncic, and
I did, and I was just like, you never know what old Nature's going to have to say at any given point in time. Like, I just never dawned on me that the Nature Boy would be this invested. And then in that way, like, it's obvious. His hamstring is a problem. And Nate has no sympathy for him. And that makes me kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably wrestled through worse, but also he probably does not know any better.
Right. Wrestled through worse. Let's just think about what we're saying right here. Wrestled through worse.
The Nature Boy himself. You're a wrestling fan, too. You're a wrestling fan. Huh? Some
yeah, now that I'm an adult, but in my youth, Nature's my favorite wrestler of all time. No question.
You couldn't tell he's from the South.
Yeah, no. And that's where you should be. If you're a Nature Boy fan, then 100%. I'm still a wrestling fan at this age, and we still got into it, but Nature's maybe not somebody to pay attention to his basketball rules. That's all I'm thinking. But Marty, where can people find more of your stuff? I'm sure they probably already follow you if they're following us, but like the brilliant work that you do.
No, I appreciate it, man. You can check me out at BomaniJones.com, give you a broad sample of what we're doing. But my podcast is called The Right Time with Bomani Jones, available where all podcasts are given away for free. If you start there, I think you'll get to the rest.
Beautiful. Did you want to throw anything else in? Did you want to make sure, Master, because he's your boy?
This was perfect. Bomani, thanks for coming on, man. As always, really appreciate it.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you having me. You guys have a good one.
Appreciate you, brother. The brilliant Bomani Jones joining us on the S Word from talkSPORT. And our first chance to spin the wheel and come up with a team for someone. I like Sunderland's a really interesting shout.
That is an interesting one. The Tyne Ware Derby, you're right. That is, in my opinion, the best derby, at least in the Premier League right now, and one of the best derbies England has to offer.
I'd say it's got the right level of competitiveness to also be
That's a fun word you use.
Because, there's other derbies which I would say are maybe fiercer fought, but...
Like North London?
But there's a bit of a gulf at the moment.
A bit of a battering, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's nice. It's also a good time. I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss it next year.
Our wonderful producer, Sam Harris, who is a wonderful man, but also loves to support about 70 different sports teams at any one time. I did just walk through the gallery and overhear him saying, well, hopefully Man City lose on Saturday. And so I'm like, sorry, West Ham fan. I know he's saying so that Arsenal take their foot off the gas or whatever else. It's not. He's an Arsenal fan through and through. I'm absolutely convinced of it now. He's sitting in the away end on Sunday, I've heard.
He's got good reason to be an Arsenal fan, He's going to need someone. I mean, now, unfortunately, if West Ham get relegated, he'll have a team in the Premier League and Championship they'll never face off, unless it's an FA Cup.
The second most complete team in Europe.
Jesus.
Let us know on Twitter at talkSPORT S-Word.
Most complete team in Europe.
Still to come on the show. Darren Bent will be joining us in the studio with the Villa perspective, and I'm sure, I'm going to be a rose between two Arsenal thorns. Plus, Angelina Kelly's going to be here in a little while. We didn't mention this at the top of the show, and that's totally my fault. Manchester City are the WSL champions. We'll talk about that as well. Plenty to still get into on the S-Word here from talkSPORT.
The S-Word with Will Gavin and Master Tesfacion from talkSPORT. kickoff to the full-time whistle. Don't say the S word. Say the F word. Football. The S word from talkSPORT.
You're back with the S word on talkSPORT, and unsurprisingly, if I take a look back to Twitter, I can see that dominating our poll right now is the mighty PSG as the most complete team.
You're rigging
in
these
Europe.
votes.
Nothing is rigged.
We need an investigation.
86%.
No, we need an investigation.
PSG over us.
I gotta check this right now.
Only Arsenal fans are voting one way. Everyone else is voting PSG because, you know, they know.
See, did you make this production change because you had the bots ready to go on your laptop?
Just quickly hit up my Russian counterparts and just made sure I could.
Is that what's happening on that laptop right there?
Day of the local elections, after all, you know. If we can't talk about things like that, then, you know. We've been talking PSG, we've been talking a little bit Bayern, and we've been talking some Arsenal as well on the show so far. Looking forward to tonight's action. Crystal Palace going up against Shakhtar Donetsk, and the huge semi-final second leg at Villa Park. And we're going to be getting the Villa perspective in just a moment.
Aston Villa have a very good history.
And he's done it! Villa have won the European Cup!
The present struggling because some years ago they were in the Championship.
The manager is just an absolute genius. His record for the last 3 years since he's come to the club.
Have won! It's 1982 all over again.
Look at Villa Park, it is their biggest asset.
Know that this season Aston Villa will win a trophy. I really do. I think the Europa League, we're favourites.
And maybe their 3-decade-long wait for silverware is coming to an end.
We have now the opportunity at only one team is winning.
But it's very much in the balance. Forest 1, Villa 0.
Huge, absolutely huge. You heard it there. Villa Park is their biggest asset tonight as Aston Villa take on Nottingham Forest. Down a goal from the first leg, but with a shot of a first European final in 42 years. Two sleeping giants going head-to-head. I'm Will Gavin. I've got the brilliant Master Tesfatian alongside me, and joining us in the studio, a member of the 100 Club, a former Villa and England striker, Darren Bent is in the house. Benny, how you doing, brother?
Gentlemen, we good?
Yeah.
Good to have you on.
I'm glad to be here.
Had to be done. In week one, had to be done. Look, I mean, we're obviously going to talk about Arsenal, but I need to not be the rose between those two thorns quite yet. So let's start with tonight. You feeling confident?
Do you know what? In terms of Villa,
mm-hmm.
Do you know, I've got a sneaky suspicion about Nottingham Forest, you know.
What?
I have. Do you know why? Because the way that their second...
You're a one-man band over here.
I am.
Yeah.
I thought you got me on my side here too.
Do you know what? The way their second string Forest performed against... Who did they absolutely batter the other day? Chelsea. The second string, I went, okay. And then you bring Gibbs White back in, Elliot Anderson in. I don't think it's going to be as easy as people expect. And then the way that Villa's B team performed against Spurs, which was shocking, I think there might be a bit of a hangover. So it wouldn't surprise me if Forest went through... Listen, Villa are a better side, but... I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Forest go out tonight. I really don't.
See, we've been having this debate since the start of the show on Monday. Villa resting their players and not being in form, per se. And Forest just going for it because they're in a relegation battle, but also just they're in good form right now.
Yeah.
But you come at a cost with Morgan Gibbs White, the uncertainty of his status, the scar that he had on his face in that Chelsea match. Which is the preferred approach for you? And as a former player, would you rather be rested, ready to go for this huge tie, or would you rather continue the form that you're in?
I think you want to play matches. I think this stage of the season you don't want to miss any games, and certainly if you're Gibbs White, because he's got that added carrot at the end of the season of the World Cup, so he don't want to be missing no games. He doesn't want to take any time off. But I think what the second string did against Chelsea is given the starters momentum going into this game against Aston Villa tonight. So, because sometimes, like, Aston Villa might be a bit stodgy because they've been in okay form, then they get absolutely destroyed by Spurs' team, and then it's hard to kind of pick yourselves back up again.
That's it for me. 3 straight losses. I haven't scored a goal in any of them. I don't care if it's a rotational side.
Yeah.
There were still starting players in that team, and you still got... The crowd got toxic as anything on Sunday. Unai Emery, a man who's normally so animated, was on that sideline like just an absolute cardboard cutout. I think, well, you'll know better than I do as a former player, but that stuff mentally, I reckon, must go into the next game.
Well, all of a sudden now you put a lot of pressure on yourself, because I think a lot of people, and myself included, I expected that Villa could solely concentrate on the Europa League because they had Champions League football sewn up in terms of their position in the Premier League. I know they've got a 6-point cushion over Bournemouth, but Bournemouth are playing really well. And there's no reason why Bournemouth can't win 2 out of the next 3. So all of a sudden, if Villa go out tonight, you're like, oh my goodness, we've only got one now option of finishing the Champions League spot. We have to end the season well. And they've got some tough games coming up. So it's going to be interesting to see the kind of dynamics tonight, the performance of the players, and Unai Emery's kind of attitude, demeanor on the sideline, because they're not in great form at all. At all.
Yeah, they're not. And Forrest is in great form. When we've seen this midfield, when it's been healthy, the absence of Buendia and Tielemans has been very obvious. That Villa's a completely different team. Morgan Rogers is a different player. Even Ollie Watkins, who has just been a mixed bag this year.
Yeah, of course.
With the healthy Buendia, with the healthy Tielemans, with the healthy Morgan
John
Rogers.
McGinn back today as well.
John McGinn back. Is this enough to get it over the line?
It should be, yeah. I mean, the players you name there, when they play in that midfield together and then Villa Park's rocking and the atmosphere's crazy and they're getting after Nottingham Forest, there's no reason why. They've got the better players, which is why there's such a big gap between them in 5th and Forest, 4th, 5th from bottom. That's why, because that's how good the two teams have been. I think if Villa start well and score early and score first, then it might be more of a comfortable night for them, because John McGinn will get the bit between his teeth. Ollie Watkins always has chances. It's just whether he takes them or not. And they've got Morgan Rogers. We know he's been one of the best players this season. So I fully expect if Villa score first and start really well, they can make it a lot more comfortable. But the longer the game goes on, Forest stay in it, I would worry about Aston Villa. I really would. But as I sit here today, I still think Villa will go through this evening.
I think so too. I think Villa finds a way. I think there's too much talent on the team. I think the fans will be up for it. We haven't even talked about the coaching advantage, tactically speaking, with Unai Emery that he'll have in this situation.
Vitor Pereira's got those players playing at such a great level. He has got them absolutely playing for the badge. They completely took advantage of Villa's high line in the last game, and you saw them playing balls over the top and getting behind. And I really think the lack of pace up front for Villa could be a problem as well. Forest are going to go there. Forest are going to go there and they're going to outwork them. It's just whether or not that's going to be enough on its own, because you'd say arguably on the field there's more quality in the Villa side, but pace, work rate, everything else, Forest have shown it all in abundance.
Do you know what though?
I don't know. I just feel I'm really feeling Forest.
Do you know what though? Forest have got players. You talk about quality, and Villa have with Watkins and Rogers. But when you look at what Forest have got, the likes of Gibbs White, who's been unbelievable. You've got Amari Hutchinson, who can pose a threat. Elliot Anderson in midfield. Chris Wood's back now and looks sharper. You give them opportunities. It could be a bit of Igor Jesus now scoring goals as well.
He's been fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't think it'll be a foregone conclusion. Again, I expect Villa to go through, but I wouldn't come in tomorrow if Villa have gone out and gone, I can't believe that. I wouldn't sit here and say that.
Gabby O'Bonnell's not even going to come in tomorrorow if Villa don't go through. He's already threatened he's going to walk out.
Yeah.
Sam Matface, Alex Crook will be doing the mid-morning show by themselves here on talkSPORT, because Gabby O'Bonnell will not be in the house.
If Villa doesn't make it, I just feel like it'd be an absolute failure of a season, though. Because even with the financial restrictions that existed this past summer, then maybe some of these rumors, Unai Emery leaving to Real Madrid, maybe that comes to fruition. It just would be a bitter taste into what has been a good window.
Yeah. But you know what? It's been a good period for Villa in terms of since Unai got there to now. It almost feels like if he could win this trophy, it's almost a perfect. If he leaves or not, I don't know. But
I think is he more likely to leave if they win a trophy?
Exactly
though?
that.
Like it's that thing. It's a kind of two sides of that same coin. It's like actually, if they go out tonight, they probably retain Unai Emery because somebody doesn't take him if they don't win the competition.
Maybe,
like,
but
someone will take him regardless.
Yeah, I think he's brilliant. If they don't win it, I feel like maybe it would be a situation where he would want to part ways.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if the club would per se, because I don't know if they could find someone better, but the financial situation you would feel with Unai, it would cause enough tension to feel direct blame.
Yes.
This is why we were not able to accomplish this.
Right, I've got 7 more minutes. Can I keep filling without talking about Arsenal, boys? That's the question.
No.
All right. You were both at the Emirates yesterday. Actually, so I do a Jamie O'Hara and just leave now. Like, don't even wait to storm out. Just leave before it even begins. How good was... I've heard a lot from this guy. How good was the Emirates the other night? And now you've seen what PSG offer when they can go both ways. They can batter you or they can put on a defensive performance and be a complete football team. How are you feeling about that final?
No, I'm excited about it. I mean, of course, I always felt Arsenal had a better shot, I'd say, at beating Bayern than PSG, because PSG, the way that they rotations, the players that they've got players that can pop up in different positions. Like when you play against Bayern, you know Kane's down the middle, Elise's on the right, Diaz is on the left. So you almost go, okay, this is what we're going to do. But with Doué, Dembele, Kvaratskhelia moving all over the place, it's going to be more difficult. But the thing is, Arsenal won't allow the space that Bayern allowed, which is why it was a crazy semi-final, right? So I expect Arsenal to be rock solid and tight. And of course, Arsenal, for me, are arguably going to have to put in the best performance under Mikel Arteta in the 6 years that he's been here to win this Champions League final, because PSG, for me, are probably the best team on the planet.
Yeah, they are. And you have to feel Saka, even though he was hinting at the fact that there was one team they want to face. It had to have been PSG because what happened last year, the stat nerd over here loves XG, how they outperform their XG, but
I just keep getting thrown under the bus.
Oh, you are absolutely you are the show stat nerd.
I'm a nerd. I'm not a stat nerd. Okay. There are two different things. I was wearing a Marvel t-shirt yesterday. I'm a nerd. I'm not denying that in any way, shape, or form.
He's saying that
I'm just not an XG nerd.
Spitting out XG stats during the pre-production to try and downplay the significance of. Well, I guess he was big on Morgan Gibbs White. Nevertheless. It felt
that
like
wasn't XG. That was actual goals.
It was expected, projected, whatever. Nevertheless, back to Arsenal. When you saw how that played out, those two fixtures last year, and even how the atmosphere was deflated in that first leg as soon as PSG was able to get that early goal.
Yeah.
It almost feels like game script wise, Arsenal cannot allow PSG to get that early goal because they can shut it down very quick, as we saw yesterday too.
Exactly. When they score first, they're incredibly difficult to get the ball. They almost just keep creating chaos because they keep moving the ball, and eventually someone will step out to press, and that's when they go boom, 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 round you and they're out. Arsenal can't do that. But also as well, I think Arsenal have got the players to hurt PSG as well. I mean, whether it be in open play, set play. But again, Arsenal are going to have to be so disciplined, and they're going to have to put in a performance. They can't put in a mediocre performance against PSG because they'll get beat.
They can't. Mediocre is the least they worry.
Well,
they can't put in an 80% performance or a 90% performance. They need to be the best they've been all season. This is not a team you're going to be able to keep at arm's length for 90 minutes on your own. Like, you're going to have to at some point press. You're going to have to at some point score. Like, please don't be 0-0 and penalties all the way through.
It could be though.
But I can't see you holding them arm's length for 120 minutes. That's for sure.
No, I don't think that will happen. But I think Arsenal have got enough on the other end to oppose a threat as well. But my point is, Arsenal can't open up. They're going to have to. It might be boring to watch. I expect it to be boring to watch for the neutral, but Arsenal can't open up.
I might say, this is the problem. I might be a stat nerd or whatever you want to call me. I am also a nerd for defensive football. I watched that game last night. I'm not going to, in no way am I going to claim it was better than the 5-4. Of course it wasn't. That was a thriller minute. That was a roller coaster. That was pure entertainment. But last night was like if that was a blockbuster the week before, last night was like a really great drama where it's like got a slow build and it's got
they talk about it as Quentin Tarantino when it's not Arsenal.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how that happened.
I've never accused you of being boring.
Yeah, boring Arsenal. You haven't said that. The second leg.
I mean, I've sung it. Yeah. That's different. You're in the stadium. You're involved in you're a fan. You're involved in it. Like, if Arsenal win the Champions League, and I am, as I've already said multiple times on the show today, I do think PSG will beat you. But if Arsenal win the Champions League, of course they'll deserve it. All this nonsense about they've gone down an easier route and they've done it playing boring football and everything else.
Chelsea won the Club World Cup, taking the easiest route possible. And so they face PSG, and what they do, they shut down PSG. They took the game to PSG. Does anyone now, 8-9 months later, do you ever hear any Chelsea fan ever talking about how easy their pathway is?
Never.
No. All they talk about is, hey, we should wear that badge for 3 more years because it's probably gonna be the last trophy we win.
Yeah.
No one cares about it.
Do you know what's crazy as well about the Arsenal route is, and this is where the kind of it doesn't annoy me, but I understand why people would say it. But so when the draw was made for the Champions League and Arsenal were on that side of the draw, no Arsenal fan said it's an easy side that we should win that. All other fans of rival clubs kept saying, if Arsenal don't get to the final.
Also, when the league stage table came out and you got your fixtures and you saw you were going to have to play Bayern Munich at home and you saw you were going to have to play, no one was going like, we're going to top the league stage.
No, but that's the thing.
And you did, and that's why you weren't.
But if Arsenal fans had come out and said, we're on the easy side of the draw, we should get to the final.
I'd have buried every Arsenal fan.
Arsenal fans can't win.
Can't win.
Can't win.
Yeah, but that's because that is a level of cockiness that you've not earned in the history of your club. This is not a team that have been like, you had 7 years where you only got to the round of 16, followed by 5 years where you didn't touch the Champions League at all. Like, this is not a team that are a Real Madrid or a Bayern Munich who expects to be in the semi-finals or onwards. Like, so it would have been unbelievably cocky if an Arsenal fan had gone, easy side of the draw. But, it's... hold on, I'm the one who said it wasn't an easy side of the draw. How am I talking again? I'm arguing with myself at this point.
But no, that's what I said. If Arsenal fans had said that arrogant, but Real fans said, you got to win it now. So Arsenal fans can't win.
They can't.
You can't win.
On this show, you do have to win it now because all I've heard from the man to my left time and time again is, we're going to win the double. We're going to win the double. I mean, he was also saying you're going to win the quad 2 months ago, but...
It's all good.
The level of confidence...
Was Tottenham anywhere close to a quad?
Americanism. Well, we're calling it the treble, aren't we?
Well, yeah, we are calling it the treble because if Tottenham get relegated.
Oh, that's done. That won't happen.
And see, you know what? I don't think so either. And it might be even sweeter because when Arsenal beats West Ham, we will be the reason Tottenham stays.
They stay up, so they've got to thank us.
Exactly. Right. Kiss the ring. Kiss the ring, baby.
We know you've got to let you go and do Drive over on talkSPORT. The last thing, because we're going to talk about this on tomorrow's show, but I just want to get your thoughts on it. I was listening to Breakfast this morning. I was listening to Sports Bar last night. There's a certain sect of Tottenham fan right now who want West Ham to beat Arsenal on Sunday because it hurts their title tilt more than they are concerned about being relegated. They've got so cocky over the course of those 2 wins in the West Midlands that they are suddenly going, actually, I'd be fine if West Ham took points because it would hurt Arsenal more. That's madness. Sure.
Do you know what it is? It is a level of arrogance, and you're right, because they're probably thinking to themselves now, well, we don't need West Ham's help, so let's hope they beat Arsenal so they don't win the league. We'll take care of it. We'll beat Chelsea, we'll beat Leeds, or whoever we got on the weekend. That's not a problem. We'll take care of our business, but hope West Ham. But that's just
one guy came on and went, guys, just so you know, there is a third option. They could draw, and I'd really like that. I'm like, no, you should be.
They don't want to kiss the ring.
You might not want to kiss the ring, but right now you should be going, I don't care about rivalries. I don't care about anything else. I hope Arsenal win 5-0 on Sunday. I hope it hurts their goal difference. I hope there's no point. West Ham come out of that decimated, confidence low, and we get to stay in the Premier League. That's all they should care about. And it's wild to think that they are thinking about your Premier League.
I know.
Let's
just hope Arsenal beat West Ham, which I think they will do comfortably.
Declan Rice, take it home, baby. Take it home. Take it home.
I'm sure he's going to get a wonderful reception.
As he always does.
Come this weekend. Benny, thank you so much for coming in to join us. Hopefully we'll do it. He said anytime, see? So every day here at about 2:20, right? Sorry, unless you're playing paddle. Apologies.
I need the invite, by the way. I've never played paddle before.
Okay, let's go. We'll get it done.
Please.
I'm not getting involved in that. I can manage like 10 lengths of swimming before I just die. I'm not playing paddle with a former athlete. And I mean, you're in great shape, so I'm not getting involved. That's my point. This is the S Word from talkSPORT. Still to come, Angelina Kelly will join us in the studio. We'll talk about Man City winning the WSL title, and we'll continue to look forward to the huge European action with all those British teams involved tonight.
Bringing all the biggest football debates stateside. The S Word from talkSPORT. It's the S Word. Get your full-on football fix from across the football galaxy. The S Word from talkSPORT.
Back with the S Word on talkSPORT. Coming towards the end of today's show. Another cracking show tomorrow, of course. We've got a huge weekend of Premier League action to cover. We've got a little matter of El Clasico. For the first time ever, a title could be actually decided on El Clasico. What an absolute damaging thing that could be for the Real Madrid fans who are already hurting this week with everything happening with Mbappe.
Soap opera, the Real Housewives, is that what you called it?
Yeah, the Real Housewives of Madrid. Yeah, I thought that was a great gag, but there we go. And yeah, we've still got to react to all the action tonight. Forest Villa, Crystal Palace hopefully also reaching a European final for all those Palace fans out there. Or maybe you're a Shakhtar Donetsk fan. Let us know in the chat at talkSPORT S Word on Instagram, on X and on YouTube over here somewhere. Yeah, did it right again. Always to the left. There we go. I've figured it out. I was like to say now, Manchester City wrapped the WSL last night after Arsenal failed to beat Brighton. The Gunners drawing 1-1 on the South Coast. Joining us now, good friend of the show, talkSPORT presenter, WSL expert, and at the game last night, Angela Kelly's in the house.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Yes, was at the game last night. It was one of those because I have no horse in this race. So I wanted Arsenal to take it to the final day of the season. They had 3 games in hand. If they'd have won them all, it would have gone to that final day. First game in hand, and they drew. So a disappointing one for Arsenal, definitely. This means that regarding the big trophies, they won the Champions Cup, but apart from that, it's going to be a trophyless season. So knocked out the Champions League at the weekend. So not the best from them, but props to Brighton because they looked pretty good. So yeah, but Manchester City, first time that they are champions since 2016. It's already been pointed out to me as a Manchester United fan that we didn't actually have a women's team in 2016. It wasn't until 2018. So yes, but no, props to them because they've had a brilliant season.
So it could be a completely trophyless season in North London. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh.
You were not invited to the parade.
Oh, that was me.
Not invited to the parade. It's fine. But how significant is it for Manchester City to win the WSL? But after we've seen the dominance that Chelsea has had and the growth of the league having the parity elements.
Oh, it's absolutely massive. And it seemed like Manchester City had all the pieces of the puzzle, but it's Andre Jeglert's the manager who came in at the start of this season. He'd only ever managed a club in Sweden before, so there was a bit of a risk, but he's put all these pieces together. I mean, you've got Khadija Shaw, who is the best. She's the best striker in the world as far as I see it. She's about to win her 3rd Golden Boot in a row. Last season, she did have to split it with Alessia Russo, but, she still won it. You've then got Lauren Hemp, who's brilliant. You've also got Viviana Miedema, who is the all-time top goal scorer in WSL history. The 3 of them have had a few injuries, but overall, the majority of the season, they've stayed fit, and that is what has been really important. But Manchester City didn't have European football as well, so I think that definitely did help. But they've been top of the league since November 9th. So I kind of feel like they deserved it. Had they not have got it, it would have been an absolute shambles. But yeah, they've been absolutely fantastic. It's all just kind of knitting in together nicely. But now they're going to be in the Champions League. They are the WSL champions next season. They're going to have to build because Chelsea will be levelling up. Arsenal will be levelling up. Manchester United, probably not, knowing my luck. But they're going to have to compete. They're going to have to raise the bar again. But it's nice to mix it up.
You mentioned Bunny Shaw there, 3 straight golden boots, but set to depart City. We'll find out breaking news today. I mean, you just win a title, you're going back into the Champions League, and yet you're like, peace out, I'm out.
She's
of it.
like, thanks for the good times, guys. I am off. So, according to reports, she did want to stay at Manchester City, but there were a couple of stumbling blocks, especially regarding the length of her contract. So, she's 29. She's a little bit injury prone. However, I just don't get why Manchester City aren't locking her in. I mean, to be completely honest, there are no PSR restrictions. I don't know, if Sheikh Mansour wanted to pay her Haaland's wages, he technically could. Probably not sustainable. But I just don't understand why you're not locking her in as the best striker in the world, because they're going to have to go out and get a replacement for her. It looks like there are a lot of teams, because she is the best in the world, there are a lot of teams interested in her. Chelsea is one of them. They are reportedly offering £1 million a year on a contract, which in women's football is huge. Their top earner is Sam Kerr on $450k a year. So $1 million, it's a massive leap. And if Chelsea won that Champions League trophy that they've been desperate to get, Bunny Shaw could be the answer, but for those who maybe don't follow women's football, this is like when Andy Cole left Newcastle for Manchester United in the mid-90s. It's like Robert Lewandowski, going from Dortmund to Bayern Munich. It's like if Erling Haaland now just turned around and said, "Thanks, City, I'm off to Arsenal." Yeah, it would be crazy if it happens, and it looks like it's going to.
As you mentioned, Sam Kerr going to Denver, going to the NWSL after the season. With Bunny Shaw, we've had the privilege, if you watch CONCACAF, North American soccer, what she does with Jamaica, her, Melchi Dumene, just some incredible talent in the islands that you see on the women's soccer side. If she's able to join Chelsea, which... Let's talk about Chelsea real quick before we get into
also, if she's concerned about length of contract, you know that Chelsea are going to give her, what,
Oh, yeah.
9 years?
They're throwing the money around.
100 years.
Alexis O'Hannon buying the women's team, and so there's a lot of investment that Chelsea's having, but this year is it has been a huge disappointment. Where do they pick up the pieces here to remain the dominant main force that we've seen in England for years?
It's so strange that Chelsea did win the League Cup, could still get to the FA Cup final. They've got to get past Manchester City in the semi-finals at the weekend. But it's still a disappointing season. Like, for most people, we've got one trophy. This has been great. But you've got to think, domestic treble last season, invincible in the Women's Super League. So to come away from it now and have that one trophy, which they just kind of win the League Cup. It's like, oh yeah, we've won this again, great, let's lift it, woo. To not have the WSL, this is going to sting them big time. Sonia Bonpastor was brought in to win them the Champions League and to go out against Arsenal. I know that there was a hair pull. I know that Alyssa Thompson, Katie McCabe had a good old yank on Alyssa Thompson's hair. But the thing is, it's, it happened and they bowed out, but they're going to have to come back stronger. And I think Bunny Shaw, they've not had a competent striker for a long time. Sam Kerr, ACL injury, not been at her best. A couple of names have come in. They've never really quite taken the league by storm. So Bunny Shaw, and if they can keep Lauren James fit as well.
Yes.
Because I've never seen someone play so nonchalantly. She just dinks the ball and it goes, she's like, oh yeah, did I score? Great. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, they're gonna have to make some signings, and especially if Arsenal signing Georgia Stanway on a buyer from Barcelona. Alexia Putellas, who knows what's going to happen with her at Barcelona. Apparently going to London City Lionesses.
Wow. It's like a proper full-blown arms race going on in the WSL this off-season.
Honestly, how are you trading the Nou Camp? 60,000 fans were there for the Champions League semi-final. And Alexia Putellas is trading that for London City Lionesses that play at Hayes Lane at Bromley for about 6,000. I mean, obviously money's going to come into it, but I would be astounded. A Ballon d'Or winner playing for what was Millwall's women's team that got lifted and rebranded. Insane.
You'd have to think, management-wise, the issues that Barcelona had going into the season with the lack of depth and the financial issues that Barcelona was having that severely impacted their women's side. You got Michelle King at London City. And so I'm sure
checkbook open.
She has me there. The idea of building a project and building it that is women's focus and potentially creating a new model of what could be done in the WSL. I don't know, for someone that's already accomplished everything, that might be the cherry on top for a historic career that she's had.
Potentially. I know that she's won the Champions League, multiple times for Barcelona. I just don't know. And again, I don't know her. Maybe she's like, you know what? New challenge, decent money. I'm 32. I deserve it.
Live in London, nice city.
Live in London, got some pals.
I
mean, London's great.
Maybe she doesn't like the heat. Maybe it's just like,
Yeah, she's fine. At 32, she's like, you know what? This is too much. Nou Camp, heat, absolutely not. Don't want to be, by the beach, not having it. So maybe
you can only walk La Ramblas so many times before you just get bored of it.
Yeah, the Sagrada Familia. I mean, it's nearly built now. What's the point?
How many tapas can you eat?
Yeah, so maybe she does want the change. But a couple of names with Barcelona, considering how small their squad is, because they've had to sell to get to the Champions League final again. Hats off to them. I would probably say Eva Pajot, their star striker, 30 goals this season. Her contract is up in the summer of 2027. Maybe they'd be willing to cash in if Manchester City do need a Bunny Shaw replacement. That's who I'd look to. But, you've got legends like Mappé Leon. She's on her way out. Again, could be going to London City Lionesses. Basically, just all the Barcelona players that have had enough of the tapas and the Las Ramblas, they're just going to go to London City Lionesses.
Sounds like a good strategy to me.
Yeah.
You're headed off to the World Cup this summer.
I am.
Following the England fans around. I mean, look, we had Bomani Jones on earlier, and we were talking about when World Cups take on the flavour of the place that they're in. And yet you're going to be following fans to Boston, New Jersey, Miami,
I mean, throw that in there. Dallas or at least Fort Worth.
Well,
like these are some
my hometown. You live in my hometown. I got you on barbecue recommendations. Whatever you need in Dallas.
Perfect. This is what I need to hear.
He's never offered me any of this stuff.
Because you've never told me you're coming to Dallas.
Yeah, it's
if
true.
you did, I would have told.
Never
you.
been. I've been to
Shameful.
most of the major American cities. Never been to Dallas because I knew he was there.
She can rave about the barbecue for you. I'll give her recommendations.
There you go. I'll do some food tasting for you.
How excited are you about the prospect, but also like what are your expectations for what you're going to get from North America?
I'm very excited. I haven't been to North America in about 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah, so it's been a minute. So I'm very excited. I want to speak.
Nothing much has changed there.
No,
Honestly,
2014.
like it's like
same old red, white, and blue, baby.
Similar leadership, similar.
Nothing big has really happened in that time. But I'm excited to speak to football fans in America. I want to try and see how many football fans can guess if Alan Brazil it was or was not a professional footballer. That's going to be my main game with people. Do you think this guy looks like he was a pro footballer? Yes or no? That's going to be my main question. But I think just figuring out who people are talking about in North America, who are the players that everyone's interested in, who are people not having, was everybody, the same as in the UK, absolutely hoping that City would take the league off Arsenal? Were people rooting for Arsenal? I want to know it all.
Yeah, the run-in to the Premier League feels like the best promotion.
Did he?
No,
really disappointing.
No, he didn't. I was
Carry
quite
on.
upset there. Come on.
Sorry, I'm trying to have a serious soccer conversation.
Not what we're here for, so.
An American over here trying to drive the conversation. The run-in feels like it's a beautiful segue into it because outside of that, it feels like we've almost botched the entire run-up and build-up, promotionally speaking, to this World Cup as Americans. But I am curious to hear your vantage point on this because there are pockets where you'll find people that knowing they still probably would think Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are the two main faces. They may know Mbappe after the 2022 World Cup. But the part I love is Americans love a spectacle.
Yes.
And they will give you a spectacle.
Yeah.
So as this thing continues to build up, how your perspective is from the start of it to the end of it, I am very fascinated to follow along.
Yeah, I will be keeping you guys updated on everything. But yeah, I touched down in Dallas. Like you say, I'll be moving all over. I just want to be with the people. I mean, I'm speaking to a lot of England fans, and I assume, there'll be a good chunk of English people. But when we were at the European Championships in Germany, we found a German guy who was an England fan. He had England tattoos all over his body. I'm telling you now.
Family link or...
There's a great British pub in Dallas called the London.
And I'm going to find someone like that guy.
I know the people who run the pub. That is the best place, one of the top 2 pubs in America to watch Premier League.
I know where I'm setting up shop then.
That place, trust me, anytime I'm back home in Dallas, that is the first stop I make.
Yeah.
I talk to those people when I'm in town, probably more than I talk to my own parents. It is such a great community of people there with all sorts of walks of life, so many different fans from all over the Premier League, and they all gather together every Saturday, Sunday mornings, and it's created a great family atmosphere. And as many of those you're going to find that don't know what they're talking about, I assure you'll find those that will sacrifice their mornings to spend time with people that love the game and have connected them through that.
Yeah. It might be very different. In fact, it's going to be very different during the World Cup, right? And like you say, a location like that, you go there because you're going to be able to watch the football, and you're going to meet like-minded people. When I go to America, there's nowhere I want to go less than an Irish pub or an English pub. Like, honestly. And I imagine surely when you come here, you're not like, I'm going to check out London's finest barbecue restaurants because they're not going to
You're not running to TGI Fridays, are you?
No.
Is that your best example of Americanism?
I'm not getting the glazed ribs at TGI Fridays. No, I'm not. But and when I'm at that pub,
I'm like, give me a dive bar, give me a slice of Americana, give me.
But the thing is, will those dive bars have TVs? Will they be bought in? If anything, the dive bars in America are just so hipster and trendy that it'll be a challenge to.
And
find
I'm obviously hipster and trendy, guys. Come on, right?
Yeah,
right. Thank you.
You'll find some good food though. I'll tell you that much.
Beautiful, Angelina. Really appreciate you coming in and joining us. Thank you so much for your time. Brilliant stuff on the WSL. Brilliant stuff across the show.
Yeah,
today.
Fun show. Very,
very happy with. We had a brilliant guest list. Max Scott coming in. Bomani Jones, absolutely brilliant. Darren Bent as well, and then the wonderful Angela Kelly, the cherry on top of that phenomenal sundae that we have just served up. However, I need to get your calls. You sound like you're going Villa tonight.
I am going Villa. I think Villa pulls it off. Give me, what is it, 1-0 right now? Give me, it's going to go to penalties.
Okay, so
I got 2-1 Villa. It goes to pins. Villa wins.
I think I could be good with that. Apart from the fact I've already not slept most of this week already. Going to be a zombie by the time we get to the Friday show.
I'd never sleep. Between trying to adjust to the time and watching all the football and watching the NBA playoffs at 4 a.m. But you also have a set of twins, so I can't really speak.
Look, it's going to be good fun tonight. Live on talkSPORT. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Great guest list. We're going to be talking about Clasico. We're going to be talking about Liverpool-Chelsea on Saturday. We're going to be looking forward to the title race, the relegation, all of it coming up. So join us tomorrow on the S Word.
A daily deep dive into the world of football. The S Word from talkSPORT.